Hey, happy holidays, Goatknucklers. Welcome back to Go Knuckle Talk with Flo, a new edition of STS 30. Again, when you're on that YouTube channel, subscribe, enable the notification, like the video, and come on, leave some comments, man. Let's hear what you think about tonight's show. That would be cool. Well, let me go introduce you to One Arm. You know, she did a one arm drumming lip sync. That did you could do it again. Lisa Nolan half there. Hey
Hey,
Lisa.
Flo. How are you doing?
Good, 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 good. So who do we have here tonight?
Oh, I've been really excited about tonight's episode. Welcome back, Cash Terry.
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah,
How's everybody doing?
we're doing well. Well, you
so
know,
tell us
oh,
where you live right now.
Currently in Colorado Springs. Yeah. Uh,
Hey,
just west of Pikes Peak
oh,
well,
or
I'm
okay.
east.
excited about this show because you do the more extreme version of what I would like to do. An avid mountaineer and hiker, and those are my passions. All my vacations have involved hiking. So,
There you
Well, I was
go.
just gonna ask, how did you get involved? Because the last time I looked in Plainview, there's no mountains.
Oh, I'll kind of abbreviate the story. When I was a child, every year we would come to Colorado on vacation. My dad and I can remember vividly riding in the back of a 1969 Mach 1 and in the back seat. And you remember all the ice chests back then were like the little styrofoam squeaky ones. So my job was to sit back there, keep the thing quiet, and hand dad a Coors when he needed one. And meanwhile, I would just look out the window and see these big mountains. I mean, we went to like Silverton and Uray, that area a whole lot. And I remember sitting in the car looking up there thinking like, I wonder what it's like up on top of those. And that feeling and thought kind of just stuck with me for a long time. And then probably about 15 years ago, a relationship I was in with a person that really loved the outdoors and kind of brought me back into it, and started with some hikes. And then I just took it from there and kind of blew up with it, got into alpinism and mountaineering, and ended up just moving here 5 years ago to kind of just dwell in my passion here. That's what I love.
so Cash, can you tell our viewers what's the difference between just hiking and mountaineering and alpinism?
What the hell is alpinism?
What are the distinctions between those three outdoor sports?
Well, at least to me, I mean, some of these things are pretty, subjective and stuff. But hiking, basically, well, you've got like in my realm, you have a class one, there's class two, three, four, and five. Those are the Yosemite decimal system, is what they're known as in this realm. And hiking, I would put basically as your class one and two. Class one is basically just walking with or without a hiking pole, as you're gaining altitude and such, or you don't even gain really altitude in that. But and then class two would be sometimes you're going to have to use your hands a little bit along with your feet, as like always, to like hold yourself to go around or up and over a big rock. Class three is when you start getting into some actual climbing and kind of exit the hiking. Class three, basically scrambling. Um, you're doing your elevation gain. Generally, you want 3 points of contact, two hands and a foot, or usually your feet in one hand as you're scrambling up rock. Um, and then class four gets to where it's like class three, but it's just a lot more vert. It's a much higher angle as you're scrambling still. And then class five generally is where folks start utilizing rope and your harness and such right there. The lower class fives, I mean, me and a lot of, my kind of circle, we don't use ropes until you get to like a kind of a 5.4 climb and stuff like that, where the exposure is pretty bad. And exposure, what that is just like a good example, say you're on a ledge that's like that wide, and you look down, it's like just a straight vertical drop. That's exposure. And that's, it's thrilling, but
Terrifying.
Yeah.
it,
Let me
it
go
is
ahead.
at first. That's one of those things, guys, that, the more you do it, you kind of get used to it. And in a way, you love it, down the road, you like it. It's more thrilling. I mean, I guess, you got to be somewhat an adrenaline junkie to get into some of this, but it's addictive. It's fun.
Well, I've got a question. Why do you have the eye of Ra on your helmet?
Oh, that's the Eye of Horus. Yeah,
You
under
sure it's
my
Horus?
goat.
I thought Ra was a solid pupil and Horus was an open pupil.
Mm, I
Anyway,
think that's
doesn't matter.
Horus.
Well, Horus means it's what was it? Anyway, go ahead, explain.
That's a cool sticker that someone gave me, and I just thought it was cool. I've always liked just that, and I'm not into any symbolism or Egyptian mythology or whatnot, but it's just something I thought was kind of cool, and it makes me get questions like that. But yeah.
So I see in that photo that you're wearing a helmet. And that you've got some harnessing stuff. So where can you tell us more about this photo? Where you were at? What altitude you were at?
Yeah, that right there is going up what's called the Little Italy Couloir. And couloir is a Coulloir. That's the French word for gully. And it means, a lot of these terms in alpinism and such, mountaineering, originated in the Alps,
Right.
France, Italy, and Switzerland. And couloir means gully in French, like I said, but it's a vertical gully. And that right there is the Little Italy Couloir. It's on the north face of Pikes Peak. So it's really, it's like 40 minutes from the house. And it makes a good deal to, like, on a Saturday morning, if you don't have anything else to do, to go up that. And that's about, gosh, I'd have to look it up, but maybe a 1,500-foot gain. And it's what's called a spring snow climb. And like right now, we're just entering winter. It's a very dry one here so far. But what you do on the spring snow climbs up the couloirs, first of all, that's my favorite type of climbing because it's like a direct attack. You're not doing switchbacks and all that. You're going straight up the peak and in a gully like that, a vertical gully. That's my favorite type of climbing. But what it is generally in April, May, and June, you can do a lot of that. And you got to wait till the snow, it settles over and over through many storms throughout the season. And it gets really consolidated snow. And it's pretty firm. And that's when you can go up those couloirs without risk of the snow giving out from under you. And the avalanche risk is pretty mitigated by the consolidation. And that's when you, to do that kind of climbing, you strap on your crampons on your feet. Mm-hmm. And you got your ice axe. And this axe is a tool of alpinism and the snow climbs. You learn how to self-arrest. What that axe is for, 90% of its usage, you're going to use it like a pole, I guess, as you're going up, like I was in that picture. But like if you slip and fall, you self-arrest with that axe. Takes some practice to get pretty good at that. But you're falling and you hit the snow with the long end of this axe to try to self-arrest so you don't fall down the mountain and die or get injured really bad. But that's on the north side of Pikes. There's about 5 really sweet couloirs on the north face. If you know where Woodland Park is, it's really visible from Woodland Park.
Cool.
So, but well, the helmet, that's just a safety thing, in case there's some rock fall. Because in the spring snow climbs, keep in mind you've got ice and snow on and in the crevices and in the rock and the rock walls that are around you, and that's ice is expanding and this and that, and that's going to create some rock fall. And say if 1,000 feet, the size of a golf ball, just happens to break off because what I just described, by the time it gets to you, you know, you don't want that hitting your noggin. That could be pretty serious. So
I can imagine.
Split your
Well,
skull open and worse.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask. Okay, you said 1 through 5 was. How long did it take you to go from a 1 to a 5? And then, what's the most challenging from going to 1 to 5 besides steeper? I mean, the obvious. But for you,
yeah.
what was your challenge? But again, what was the timeline between 1 and 5 for you?
Oh my goodness. I would say about 3 to 4 years. About 4 years. Yeah. And the biggest step in all that would have probably been from the class 3 scrambling up to a class 4 stuff. Excuse me. And the reason there is the moves you're making are just much higher consequence. You might have a whole lot of air under you, whereas on a class 3 move, you really don't. And there's a great website for info that describes all this that we use for a lot of data and what we call beta is 14ers, the number 14, and then ERS, 14ers.com. And that's a really, really good resource. There's all kinds of things there. It's mainly dedicated to the 13,000 and 14,000 foot peaks here in Colorado. But they've got great descriptions of these classifications on there too.
So what was your challenge for you to?
I mean, was the challenge like a aerobic challenge?
Psychological fear.
Yeah, that you're going down the right road there. Just the exposure. Like I said, I guess the biggest challenge inside those classifications would have been going from class 3 to class 4 and even class 5 climbs. It would be the fear of the exposure. I'd already built up by that time, got over a lot of the fear of heights stuff, been on some narrow ledges and stuff like that. But then you really ramp it up, the exposure, when you're getting into class 4 and especially 5 climbs, because like I said earlier, it's much more vertical. And that means you're going to have a lot more air in front of you when you're climbing a slope like this on rock compared to one like that. You've got a lot more air under your feet and the consequences are much higher. You've got to watch for rock fall. You want to try to keep 3 points on all the time, like your feet and your hands on the rock. And you really want to test your hand and foot holds. Like before you grab a rock to pull yourself up, you want to just like make sure it's not going to give away, because I've had a couple of friends that have been hurt pretty bad like that, and actually came up on a gal that grabbed a rock on Capitol Peak. It was her last of the 58 14ers when me and my buddy went and did Capitol Peak by Aspen. It was her last one, and we didn't see her fall, but we got into the basin to make our count right when she fell. I mean, just right after she fell, and it was like a 2,000 foot fall, and that was her last one. It was pretty sobering, and it made us really pay attention the next morning.
Sure.
Well, is it
survive?
Oh yeah.
No, she perished.
Oh gosh.
Is that the way to go for a mountaineer? I mean, is like, if I'm gonna die, that's the way to go.
Do what you love. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to think about it, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you do. You can't help it, and yeah, that would be the way to go, man.
I mean, honestly. I assume you have to have a lot of confidence to do these climbs, because I would imagine if you're afraid, that's when you're vulnerable to make more mistakes. Is that?
No, I think when you're cocky, you're more apt to make mistakes. Fear is a good thing. Fear can be a good thing.
Lisa's right on that. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been there. I've done 1 14er and I have never been so scared in my life.
Which one did you do?
I took a group of women to hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's up there. That's
And
sweet.
so the very first big climb was Dead Woman's Pass, which is a little higher than 14,000.
Yeah.
And then and coming off of that was even scary. Going up it wasn't scary. You know, there are some, you know, the path narrows and it's a 10,000 foot drop. It was on the other side of that mountain that was just these giant boulders. And we had some people who really struggled. So it took them, I'm going to say, hours longer to get up that mountain than it should have, which delayed everybody else. And we had to come and I see a group of men running up the mountain going, what the hell is happening? And it's all the Sherpas. And only one of them spoke Spanish and told me, you need to tell all your group to shed their packs. We're going to carry your packs and you have to run to camp. And when you get to camp, don't move because we are camped literally in just like a little slope right on the edge of a 12,000 foot drop off.
Shit.
And we gotta assign your tents and count your feet, count your steps so you don't all go plunging when you step out of your tent.
Well, we've got a saying that, you know, summiting is optional, but getting all the way down is mandatory. So
Right.
For
You
sure.
know,
I read like Mount Everest, it's got the 2 p.m. rule.
Oh, as far as being on the top?
Once you hit 2 p.m., you need to come right back down.
That's like up here on these 13 and 14,000 foot peaks during mainly like the end of June through the end of August is it's monsoon season during the summer, and lightning is a huge risk, and you want to get down into the trees like between noon and 1 p.m. You know, the lightning. I've been in some situations. There was a girl I was with. It was over by Salida. We were climbing a Tabaguache, which is a 14,000 foot near Salida, and she was pretty slow. So, you know, we were not down as far as we should have been. And a storm came over. We got pelted with grapple, the little kind of snowy hail stuff. And you could feel it in the air. And her hair, she's got long hair, and it just started standing up because of static.
Oh.
And everything started tasting like pennies in her mouth, copper, you know, the taste. And her hiking poles were aluminum, and they started like buzzing. So, yeah, she threw her poles down and thankfully finally kind of sped up a little bit and caught me and the other person. And we all made it safe, but I've had a few friends, you know, be zapped by static up there and stuff like that.
Man, screw that. Well, hey, let's show this. I'm gonna show this video you sent me.
Oh, hell no. No. Hell
That's
no.
fun.
What the F?
It's on both sides. That's what
I
sucks.
know.
It's not just one side, Lisa. It's on both sides.
I know. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's a nice wedgie. Yeah.
Hope you're wearing a cup.
That's Capitol Peak. Out of the 58 14,000 foot peaks, I think that was like my 55th one. It's near Aspen. And that is the peak where when me and my buddy Noah, he's what's called a dirtbagger. He made his money while he was young. He's from Fresno, California, and he travels the country in Canada. He's got an old Impala that he lives in, basically, and he climbs. And we hooked up and climbed that peak, and that's the one where the young lady fell right above that. In that video, there's some rocks up above there, further up the peak, and she grabbed one, and it came out from under her, and she perished. But right when we got to make our camp at the bottom of that peak, we saw the helicopter. They came in and recovered her, and it was very, very sobering. And we paid attention that morning in that video right there. But yeah, that's about a 2,000 foot drop.
Wow. So which one are you in the red?
Yeah, that's me right there. Yeah.
That was you crawling.
Yeah, that's called the knife edge on Capitol Peak.
Knife edge.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
like I think that's 14,130 feet or something like that.
The
But
jagged knife edge.
I was gonna.
yeah,
How long is it?
that is about the length of a basketball court, maybe a little longer, maybe 100, 120 feet. Uh, and people, talk about that part of that mountain and that climb is, it's scary, but once you get on there, you just don't be stupid. And like so many of these class 3 and 4 climbs, you got to just know where you're putting your hand and feet and make sure they're on solid rock, nothing that's going to give out or slip out from under you, and just watch your hand and feet and pay attention to that, and you'll be okay.
But
And don't be looking down at the abyss under you.
No,
You already know it's there, so
but look, I mean, okay, I'm over here pointing like you guys can see what I'm pointing at. Right there on the left corner of the photo, there's a big gap. Like that is about to break off, and there's a little bitty one. I mean, I can see what you're saying that you have to be careful. I mean, look at those cracks.
yeah. But that rock right there, like what's sitting above the crack, is probably the weight of a car. And it is joined probably on the far left and the back where you can't see it.
Gravity does take over, Cash. Gravity does take over someday.
Yeah,
We wouldn't be on that son of a bitch.
that was a fun one. But like I was saying, the past that point there, as you go higher on the mountain, it's a lot more deadly up higher. You're on it's very loose. The rock, and I guess you could call it dirt, a lot of scree, which is, like marble ball bearings.
I hate hiking on scree. I hate it. That's my nemesis.
There's a lot of loose scree, and it's extremely steep, as you can see in the background.
Yeah, you can see where it just really gains some steepness.
I mean, there's a lot of spots up there where you're hiking or climbing, and you have like one hand, kind of holding the wall next to you. And that up higher is where she fell. And I think it was 3 years ago, one summer we had 5 people die right there, and all separate incidents. So
Wow.
it's a deadly mountain. The key with that peak is where most people mess up is on their descent. They think they see a shortcut and they try to take it. There's a lake down to the bottom right of that picture. And they end up doing what's called cliffing out. And they try to get through that area and they slip and fall and they die. So that peak is real dangerous if you get off a route.
Wow. Screw that.
Going up something like this, do you look at aerial images, topography maps? I mean, how much do you study the route before you attempt it?
Quite a bit. It depends, on the classification. Like if it's a class 2 or 3 climb, I'm not going to study. I'm still going to study pretty good, but not as much as say a class 4 or 5 climb. We look at, like right now, when there's a little bit of snowfall, we'll look at like satellite pictures of where we're going to be climbing. Copernicus is a good satellite for that. Also, that website, 14ers.com, has a lot of good data, and a lot of people leave trip reports on that. Like I might be doing that this weekend, and okay, I'll go peruse through that website, and there'll be somebody that did it 3 or 4 days ago and somebody that did it a week before, and they kind of let you know what to expect. That, and also on the same website, and there's several sources for this, and also just from friends in my community, we use GPX files. Those are just the tracking GPS file, but the extension is .gpx. And a lot of people use this app called Gaia. I use CalTopo myself and download it to the phone, and we have the route on our phone. We can track it and see if we're off route or on route. But between that, reading trip reports, and sometimes looking at satellite, and go with somebody that's done it before too. You can get a lot of what we call beta right there, and that
Definitely weather, I'd imagine too.
helps.
Definitely
Weather all the time.
Yeah.
Mountainforecast.com is good. The NOAA, the national, the NOAA website for weather, that's a great resource too. And
Cool.
Do you always take a sat phone with you?
I carry a Garmin InReach Explorer.
Okay, that's what we have.
Yeah, I love those things. You can actually email with it.
Yeah.
And I text, and I also do my tracking on it. And then you can text the tracking link to like your family, like spouse and my kids all the time. And they can get online and see exactly where I'm at on the route. And it's on a topographical map and everything. And they can see where you're at. It drops like a breadcrumb, we call it, tracking like every 10 minutes, I think is what I got mine set on. But the cool thing about the Garmin InReach is I don't use it really for navigating. I mainly use it just for what I just described. And the app, EarthMate, can go on your phone. So you just Bluetooth from the InReach Explorer to your phone and just throw the Garmin in your backpack. And then you got your phone for the GPX files on CalTopo, and you're also connected Bluetooth to your InReach, and you can text people via satellite. It's just like a sat phone, but you just don't have voice calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you started this when you were in your 20s, do you think you would have maybe conquered or tried Mount Everest? Because that's supposedly the tallest mountain in the world.
It is
29, around a little over 29,000 feet in the air. And Lisa, let me put that in perspective. Since you used to work for Southwest Airlines, commercial planes fly at 30 to 40,000 feet.
Yep.
I mean, they're up there where the planes are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you would have attempted? Or
For sure, dude. I've thought about that many times. That a lot in the Andes and the Tibetan Plateau, but yeah, Everest for sure is kind of overran right now, and there's getting to be a good effort with the Sherpas and the guide companies to clean it up a little bit. But to answer your question, absolutely. Life happens, and I didn't roll into this, I don't know, until about 15 years ago. So,
and then, I was gonna say I also found that K2 is the second tallest.
Yeah.
But you really, what I read is it's really not climbable. There's two sides of it. It's really almost impossible to climb. And then I found out a fun fact. Do you know the tallest mountain is, Lisa?
The tallest mountain in the world?
In the world's over 35,000 feet or 33,000 feet.
No.
It's
I know
Manua. I can't pronounce. It's a mountain in Hawaii. It's also you're including it's below the surface of the water.
Yeah, it's underwater.
Yeah, but
Mauna Kea. I got some friends over there right now. A couple of climbing buddies. They're visiting her family, and they did that peak yesterday.
Oh,
it's,
nice.
Above sea level, it's like 13 something. But yeah, but you're right about K2. I think 1 out of 3 people that attempt K2 die. So there's a couple of bad spots on there under a serac that drops tons of ice all the time.
And you're talking about professionals. I mean, you got people that they're attempting this. Is not novice. Well,
no, you can't go up there if you're a novice. But it's either the goal or the nemesis of a lot of professional mountaineers. Is that the summit?
That is the summit of El Diente over by Telluride. And in that basin, there's 3 14,000-foot peaks. There's El Diente, Mount Wilson, and Wilson Peak. On that day, me and my 3 friends there, we summited El Diente first. and then you traverse the ridge, which at spots is like a foot wide, and there's these pinnacles you got to go over and all that, and traverse that ridge over to Mount Wilson. And Mount Wilson is actually, if you've seen a can of Coors Light, it's got a picture of the mountains on there. That's Mount Wilson. And yeah, one day we got those 2 peaks, and that's one of the 4 great traverses on the 14ers in Colorado. That's the Diente Wilson Traverse, and then there's the Crestone Traverse, which is over by West Cliff. That connects the Crestone Peak and Crestone Needle. And then by Alamosa, you've got Mount Blanca and Little Bear. There's a ridge traverse between those 2 14ers. And then a lot of people know about the Maroon Bells. They're kind of famous up by Aspen. There's South Maroon and North Maroon peaks. They're gorgeous. They're just pyramidical shaped, and it's this kind of a vermilion colored rock. And the Maroon Bells are deadly, and they're beautiful, but there's a ridge that connects those 2. And those are the 4 great traverses. I still need to do that one. I've done the peaks separately, but not the traverse. One of the girls that I was with there, we did those 2 peaks together also, and she really wasn't feeling it that morning, so we just did 1 peak and camped and came and got the other one the next day.
God bless you. What time do you usually start? I assume early in the morning.
Depends on the mileage and the elevation gain and the season. Typically, just in general, probably you want to start between 5 and 6 a.m., and for several factors, like I mentioned earlier, the lightning aspect of all that, the risk. And during the spring snow climbing season, like up the couloirs, like I mentioned with the crampons and all that, you want to get it while the snow is still firm. And so that's another reason to start early. And you always want to be ahead of the curve in this sport, because you never know what may happen, and you want to do what you can to be as safe as you can, and that includes not coming down in the dark. I mean, you can have the headlamps and all that, which you always take with you, even though like, I'll be back at the car by lunch. You never know what's going to happen, and you always have the 10 essentials with you.
Yeah, and better to climb with headlamp than to descend with a headlamp. You don't want to descend in the dark. Hence, those Sherpas came to get us, because it was going to get dark on us, and it was a pretty good descent at about a 65-degree angle on big rocks. And they're like, you have to run. If you don't run, you're not going to make camp, and it will be dark, and you guys are going to either get hurt or die. I'm like, okay, cool.
So I want to ask, I've seen photos of people, their tents are like attached to the side of the mountain.
Oh, portaledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you do that?
Man, that would probably be, I know of one peak you could do that with, Long's Peak on the Diamond Face up in Rocky Mountain National Park. But really in Colorado, there's kind of no need for anything like that's going to be something like the crazy people like Alex Honnold and stuff out in Yosemite, and the Dawn Wall, and some of those peaks over there are like down in Patagonia. There's a night. Have you done that hike down there, Lisa?
I did the W hike. We were on the Chile side, and not the most of Patagonia is on the Argentina side.
Yeah,
we were on the Chile side.
Okay,
it's Chile.
Yeah,
Chile. The green
chili. Chile.
Yep, that's it. Chile.
Yeah, but here's interesting, because on that W hike, the last hike of the W, it's probably a level 4 hike. And when we started out, the guides pulled me aside and said, "You're not doing that one."
I
I said, "Well, why not?" They said, because you're so small, there are some big boulders. We're
Yeah.
going to be dealing with weather. There's still snow and ice up there, and you have two artificial hips. It's not worth the risk. Like it's too big of a risk for you, and then that puts our whole group at a risk to get back down.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're like, we're just not, for safety reasons, you're not going on that. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go get a massage or something.
Go have a mocktail.
Go to the resort. You need to come up here sometime and do a 14er.
I would love that.
So look at that beautiful. I mean,
wow. So are you rappelling down, or are you trying to climb up right there on the right?
That's rappelling down off of Tea Kettle Mountain. That was in June of this year. Tea Kettle is okay. I've done all the 58 14er, 14,000 foot peaks. So my objective now is what's called the Centennials, which is the 100 highest in Colorado, which is all the 14ers that I've already done. And then it's actually 47 of the highest 13,000 foot peaks. And Tea Kettle there, it's over by Ouray. That is one of those peaks. And it's one of 3 peaks that it's a mandatory class 5 to get on the summit, which means you have to rope up to sit on the very, very top. And that's after my buddy Lee, who's a great rock climber. He got us up there, and he took that picture as I rappelled down.
That's a great shot.
That was a great day. And the picture right under it is the same day, the same climb, going up Tea Kettle. That's me exiting what's called the Black Gully. Very, very steep and loose. And to get out of that gully at the top of it, you have to do like a class 4 move. And that's what I just finished right there. And the mountain in the background is called Coffee Pot Mountain. So we did it after we did Tea Kettle. And that day it is so steep and loose, as you can see right there. We went, I think it was 3.8 miles of hiking and climbing, and it took 11 hours.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh. Was that just all the loose scree and
the technicality of it is amazing. Lots of class 4 and 5, but yeah, I've got a video. I mean, it's like water. One of my buddies, there was 4 of us, and one of my buddies like caused a little slide of scree and talus, and it's like an actual river, just going down about 3 feet wide, and it's just flowing. It's just scree and talus rock, just like a river that flowing off the mountain. It's pretty wild.
And what about the bottom left? Where is this?
Boy, that was my high point. That is on the Monte de Venus in the summit. Okay, that's like 5 summits, and that's on Monte de Venus on we call it Izta, but it's Taxihueto. It's an extinct volcano down in Veracruz. It's down in Mexico. That's a glacier down there under it, and there's lots of permafrost, and that was pretty wild. That was my high point right there, where I took that picture. I think it was like 16,980 feet. But the track goes to the left of that, and that was 2 Februaries ago. Me and my climbing partner at the time, we were flying to Mexico to climb Pico de Orizaba, another volcano there in Veracruz, Mexico. It's a little over 18,000 feet high, and a big storm blew over that whole region the day before we caught the plane out of Denver. And on our way down there, we had a guide for these climbs. They called us, and 2 people had just slid off of Pico and fell to their death off of Pico de Orizaba. And what it was normally all that glacier and permafrost is covered in like a couple of feet of snow. That's pretty consolidated, and you only need the crampons generally. Well, that big storm that blew through, it blew pretty much all the snow off of the glacier, and you're left with this black ice and permafrost. And like in that bottom left picture, that ground right there is like as hard as steel. and because of the permafrost. And so we changed it midair before we even landed in Mexico City to climb Iztaccíhuatl here. And it's actually next to another volcano called Popocatépetl, which was erupting while we were there. So we're climbing this extinct or dormant volcano. That's the caldera there in that picture. And the mountain next to us is Popo, and it's erupting, has this giant plume coming out of it, and you can feel the ground shake every now and then. And it was really cool, but we had to turn around. We did not get to the actual summit, which is 17.3 something there in the background, because my partner, she only weighed like 105 pounds, and it's a very high slope angle there. We had crampons on and everything, and there was one section of black ice about 6 feet across that me and the guide got across. And my climbing partner at the time, she couldn't get across it because she was so little and like I said, barely weighed a buck, and she couldn't get purchased in the ice and the permafrost with the crampons, which when I say couldn't get purchased, like grip, she couldn't, she didn't have enough downforce because she weighed so little. And so we turned around at that point and called it a day and went back to Mexico City.
What is the tallest peak you've climbed?
Oh, that I've climbed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be my high point there. The day before, we did a La Malinche down near Veracruz in Mexico. It was like 14.6. So those are my two high points right there. I need to get Whitney out in California, and those 14ers out there. It's like 14,550, I believe. But those 2 points there in Mexico were higher than Whitney. You would have to actually either Pico in Mexico at 18,000 something, or up to Alaska to get anything higher in North America. But the highest of the 14ers in Colorado would be Mount Elbert up by Leadville, and it's, I believe, 14,443. It's just a little bit lower than Mount Whitney in California.
Okay.
Well, you ever take oxygen cans?
No. You're talking about those little things they sell in the store and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's a farce. Don't buy those.
I see them all the time. That's why I wonder. I've never bought them. So
yeah, don't. That's kind of a running joke up here. That's just somebody making some money, really, because that's not going to help you. I mean, okay, you inhale it or whatever out of that can, the O2 can, and okay, well, you're going to exhale it like in 20 seconds. It's just
right.
No. The key is really conditioning. What I found that really helps regarding conditioning, obviously diet. I try to stay away from bread and eat good carbs like potatoes. Really give me great energy. But like a high protein and veggie diet. Stay away from breads and booze. A lot of water, especially if you're coming from Texas and you're going to do something up here like a 14er or 13er, you want to drink a lot of water. Hydrate a lot. That'll help you acclimate a good bit. But that and just a lot of cardio. I do a lot of cycling, either road bike or this time of year kind of pivot over to mountain biking. And I love to trail run. There's a lot of good places here. Go around Garden of the Gods. I've got a 5-mile loop I do around there. Or hike halfway up Pikes Peak. It's a spot called Bar Camp. You could Google that. You can actually spend the night there. Hike up there and spend the night. They have a bunkhouse. They have a great spaghetti dinner. But it's an old log cabin with the bunkhouse that's like a little over 100 years old now. And they have people that stay there 6 months at a time, usually a young couple, and hike up to Bar Camp. On a Saturday morning, it's about 7 miles up to it, maybe 3,000-4,000 feet of gain. Sit on the porch, have a hot chocolate, and then run down. It's right next to the incline, the Manitou incline.
Man, I miss trail running. That's the one thing I really miss. I loved trail running.
I love it, because it helps a lot with the coordination,
It
especially
does.
when you're hauling ass downhill, and you're always planning like 3 or 4 steps ahead. Like, okay, my left foot's going to go on that rock, and boom, 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 and just it's a
You have
lot
to
of fun and good
be
conditioning.
very myopic, very hyper focused when you do that.
Yeah.
One of the fun things for me when I did Machu Picchu the first time was just the fascination of watching these Sherpas carrying 120. They carried all our stuff, and they're wearing, sandals.
Yeah.
And not only are they running up the mountain, but to see them just kind of hunker down, they just kind of lean forward and they just run.
Yeah.
All that shit on their back, and they're my size, 5'1", teeny guys. It's fascinating.
They're used to it. They got that high red blood cell count, which I do, living at altitude, that really helps a lot. Because like when I go to Texas and ride with my daughter in Lubbock or something on the bikes, she's a cyclist, and I feel like I'm supercharged, because my red blood cell count is really high.
Right.
In fact, my doctor wants me to donate blood once a year because of that. And I tell him, I'm like, dude, I live up here in Colorado,
Yeah.
So.
Cass,
Well, I have to ask, what about climbing down? I know this is a stupid question, like going to Grand Canyon and climbing down, the opposite. Is that you ever done that, or is it thinking about doing it?
Yeah, I want to. A lot of my friends have done the rim to rim, but that's all on trail, really. So it would be, I would call it, Lisa, what do you think? Like a class 1, really?
No, I'm talking about there's some cliffs. I mean, there's some.
Yeah, there's cliffs, but that
what makes that dangerous is the people underestimate how hot it is. Even like right now, it's 70 degrees. If it's 60 degrees in the Grand Canyon, is going to feel like 80.
Yeah.
It feels really hot, and people always underestimate that exposure, that desert exposure, that you can really, people die because of that, because they think, oh, I don't need that much water. Well, you need over a minimum of a gallon of water a day, minimum.
Oh, easy. Yeah. But Flo, to answer your question, that rock would be, I'm sure there's quite a bit of solid, but that's something I wouldn't really try. That would be kind of sandstony and kind of loosey goosey stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's some routes and people have done, but pretty much mostly what's done in the Grand Canyon is just, I'll say, simple hiking, for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. Do you carry any kind of weapons for just?
I don't. Sometimes when I'm doing a backpack, I do carry. It's like a foldable knife. I mean, it's like a 4-inch blade, and that's just kind of one of the 10 essentials that you want to do when you're in, or have on you when you're in the backcountry. Now, my buddy Ryan, him and his wife Kira, really good climbing friends of mine. They're the ones that just are in Hawaii climbing that Mauna Kea or whatnot yesterday. But he has a 40 semi-automatic. He always has in his backpack. Yeah, but I'm kind of a weight weenie, and I think that comes from road cycling. Is I try to travel as light and fast as I can all the time, and I'm not going to be carrying a piece with me or anything. And just a knife if I'm backpacking. Otherwise, if it's a day trip, no, I don't have a weapon or anything. And
shit, I'd be carrying my judge. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be having my judge next to my
really,
hip.
Because I have been tracked by a mountain lion before, and I did get my knife out at that moment. It was in the dark, about 3 a.m, and I was in a clearing. And when it's a big cats, well, 2 things. You see both of their eyes. If it's like a deer or something, you don't see both eyes. You'll just see one, like when they have their head turned, because their eyes are on the side of their head. But cats, their eyes are both up front, and it's that kind of yellowish amber color, and cats will dip their eyes like that. They kind of blink and do like that. And he was watching me, and I would go a few hundred feet across the meadow, and he was in the trees. And this is like at 3:30 a.m. in the dark. And I got my headlamp, and about every couple of minutes I would look, and he was just staying even with me in the trees. So he was kind of tracking me, and I'm like singing out loud, making as much racket as I can. I got my little knife in my hand, and the sun started coming up later, and it was all good. But I've
That's
heard
cool.
them out there, seen several bears. We actually in Rocky Mountain National Park it was last summer, me and my climbing partner, we saw a bear like at over 13,000 feet, up way above tree line, running down the Talus slope. That was kind of unique.
Was it a brown or a grizzly?
Colorado, there's no grizzlies. It's
There's no
only black bears. And then some of the black bears will look reddish brown, but only black bears in Colorado. Grizzlies, you get into Wyoming, and we were really looking for them when we were climbing in the Tetons last year.
You need to look for Sasquatch up there.
Huh?
You need to look for Sasquatch up there.
I've got a friend that swears he's been harassed by one over by Buena Vista near a peak called Mount Huron. He says like they'll get a log and they'll beat it on a tree and stuff. And he said he heard that all night long. And he went and climbed. And when he got back, he had a 5-gallon jug of water at his camp. And like half of his water was gone. And that he heard stuff all night long. But this guy's kind of goofy too. So,
I have a question for you, Cash. So when you started out, we talked a little bit, we just touched on the idea that, fear keeps you smart and safe. How would you, so let's give fear a scale of 0 of being no fear and 10 being supremely fearful. Where were you when you first started on the fear scale that I'm making up, and where are you now?
Okay. Interesting. That's a dang good question. Well, I guess, first of all, it would kind of depend on the terrain a little bit. And let's just say like, class 3 and 4 stuff, maybe. Scrambling. Let's use that. That's kind of right in the middle between hiking and real climbing, like with ropes and such. 0 to what?
0
to fear.
0 being no fear at all, and 10 being the absolute, like,
0 to 10.
About the shit in your pants.
Started out probably about an 8, to be honest. And then after 1 or 2 climbs in the same skill set or classification or whatnot, it drops down to 5 and then 4. And right now I can confidently, hit some class 5. The real risky stuff where there's if a foot slips, you're dead. Yeah, it's probably about a 7 on that. But typical, like we were saying, back to our midpoint, class 3, maybe a 2 or a 3 on the fear scale right now. You get confidence, but you're always going to respect it and always test every foothold and handhold on class 3 and up. And by the way, you wear a helmet on class 3 and up also.
Absolutely.
Well, I like that. You respect the mountain. I like that. Well, hey, man, we're past our time. At least we can keep. You know what? Screw it. We'll go a little bit more.
I want to share a funny story with Cash. So when I did that trip, we had a little incident. Well, we all got giardia for one, okay, but the girl who was the sickest had to be carried down the mountain by a guide, and the Sherpas all left, and they left the cook with us because he's the only one who spoke Spanish. All the other guys only spoke Quechuan.
Oh wow!
And we'd made it over Dead Woman's Pass. We'd camped in the cloud forest. We're coming down, and we're at 12,000 feet at this point. And there's a narrow ledge, it's just a sheer drop off. And he kept telling us to be careful because there's overhanging rocks that if your backpack hits, you're going to get hung up or flung over. And I made the stupid mistake of asking this cook, who's now our quasi guide. He was afraid. He said, "Oh yeah, I used to be absolutely terrified." He said, "But I've been doing it for 17 years and you get used to it and the fear goes down." Yeah. I said, "Here's the stupid question. Have any of your Sherpas died?" He said, "Oh, as a matter of fact, right at this very ledge where we are." Of course, it was only this wide. My knees buckled. I leaned against the mountain and I was frozen. I couldn't move. I mean, I was just trembling. Yeah. And I thought, you dum-dum, you don't ever ask that question when you're in the middle of it.
No.
Yeah, you build up a tolerance for it, I guess is a good way to put it regarding the exposure and addressing fear and all that. I mean, the more you do it, you kind of build a tolerance up to it, like you would, a painkiller or, something like that.
Yeah.
But, oh
I'm
my
really
God.
glad you're doing, Cash. I'm living vicariously through you because I
Uh,
know
I know, right?
I know my limitations, and
I'm only gonna live vicariously through him because I have no desire to climb that shit. No.
it's,
Hey,
it's, it's
go
kind
ahead.
of spiritual, man,
Yeah.
in a way, and, perseverance, and you'd be surprised at how far you can push yourself mentally and physically.
Why don't you share a story about that pelt behind you?
Oh, that's a cool story there. We've got a friend, me and my wife Erica. She's in Australia right now, but we've got a friend, a guy named Carlos. Okay, there's a ranch down by oh, it's by San Luis, Colorado, which is just north. Okay, it's north of the New Mexico boundary. Like when you're driving up to Raton and you look to the west, you see all these white cap peaks.
yeah,
That's the southern part of the Sangre de Cristo range.
right.
And our friend Carlos De Leon, he is a ranch manager of what's called the Cielo Vista Ranch. It's 85,000 acres. And he is a Marine, ex-Marine. He was a sheriff of that county. Really great guy, him and his sons. Well, there's a 14er on that ranch property. It's privately owned on this 85,000 acre ranch. And anyway, it's like a pristine area because it is private owned. You got to pay $150 to climb Culebra Peak. That's the 14er there. And it's just pristine. But in the off season, starting in August, they don't let people come on and climb, and they guide elk hunts. And she was my girlfriend at the time, Erica. Carlos called her, and he had like with the VFW locally there, they were raising money, and they had like a raffle thing, and she paid for it. And to win the raffle, you would get a free guide on an elk hunt. Well, she didn't win, but he's such a cool guy. He let us do it anyway, and he took us on a 2-day guide, a hunt. And I had this other climbing partner at the time was a Marine also, and Mike, he's from Cali. He likes to hunt. So all of us would go down there on that guide for 2 days, and Mike shot this cow, and he didn't think he got her at first. And so he shot another cow. And so then everybody walks over there to the animals that he'd shot. Lo and behold, he killed both of them.
Oh,
All right. The other cow was smaller. So Carlos, the guide, is like, oh shit, you only had a tag to shoot one elk. So it's like, we can't get in trouble with the game wardens and stuff. So he thought there's a lot of impoverished families around there. It's a lot of old Spanish families in that area, just west of Trinidad in the mountains. And so there had been this kid for a week out there hunting, had a tag, and he never got one, and he's just hunting to feed his family. So Carlos called this kid. He immediately drives up and gets the second elk that got shot.
okay.
So we took this one and had it dressed and everything, and had the hide, all the nice backing on it and everything, and it took like a year to get it from the taxidermist, a little over a year, but that's the story behind that cow.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, the kid got to feed his family with the accidental killing of a second elk because we only had a tag to get one. And and that kid had a tag, so he fed his family. He got him a cow for food, and we ended up with this and had a freezer full of jerky and tenderloins and all that for about a year and a half.
Shit.
That elk is very, very. It's got a lot of iron in it. It seems like it's real rich, kind of. You got to develop a taste for it, I think.
Well, I think we have enough for 2 more questions. Lisa, do you want to ask one? And
No, I'm just extending an invitation. When Wayne and I move to Spain, you'll need to come hiking in Spain with us.
Y'all need to come up here. Yeah, for sure.
no, she's talking about she's moving to Spain in about
We're
a
moving to
year.
Spain next year. You
Oh,
hiking
are
Europe.
you? Holy shit. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you'll be closer to the Alps. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually moving close to the French border. My husband's a cyclist, and so where we're moving to will be, first of all, it's on the road to, the touristy hike, which is El Camino, which I want to do. But
I had a friend, she just did that. Yeah.
there's a lot of hiking in Spain, and where we're living, we'll be able to be close enough to be on the tour when the Tour de France and La Vuelta go through there. But there's a lot of we'll be close to a lot of hiking.
The cool thing about that is, I mean, it's in general, the area is like the size of Texas. So you could just throw a backpack on, get on a train, and be in the Alps later that afternoon after you cross 3 countries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
That is that's the Basque region, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, it's so Logroño. We're in the region called La Rioja, which there's 500 wineries. It's right between Basque and region and Catalonia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're lucky. I envy that. Dang.
Cool. There you go. Hey, so let me ask you this now. Last question. You're in pretty good shape. It's obvious.
For the age. Yeah,
Could you train and do an Ironman?
Would I or could I?
Could you think?
Yeah, I could. I think. I mean, I don't know what, the specifics of that is regarding timing or anything, but
I think it's 2-3 miles of swimming, and then marathon at the end, and I think 150 mile bike ride, something like that.
Wow. Okay, I'm thinking of Spartan. There's a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's sprint tries, which is the same thing, but it's not the full Ironman.
Yeah, that full Ironman, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, give me 12, 16 months of training, and
let's put that on your bucket list, and we'll have you back on.
Okay, maybe I should do that. All right.
Cash, this is pretty cool, man. We really enjoyed it. I mean, hell, we can have you back on again, man, and just keep, especially after you climb a mountain, you take more photos, and we'd love to have back on and talk to us about it.
For sure, man. The time flew by. I really enjoyed this, guys. This was cool.
Continue, your safety protocols, please.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure, because that mountain's always going to be there, and there's something wrong. Come down and do it at another day.
Well, we'll mention Cash. Man, we talked about this when we did the test run. I told them since the Earth is getting harder, there's a lot of snow and glaciers that are melting, and they're finding 1,000-year-old bodies or 200, 300, 500-year-old bodies now. And he mentioned there was a couple of Army guys in Russia or something.
Yeah, I think it was something in the Alps. I believe guys that had a little hideaway in the Alps in World War II, and I don't know, something happened. They ended up dying there, and then were covered for decades in glacier. And now it's retreated, and like, oh wow, here's these people.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's changing. It's very dynamic, as is life.
Yes.
When's your next one? When's your next climb?
I try to climb every weekend, honestly. Right now, I'm not sure about this weekend. My wife, Erica, she's been on a 1.5 year assignment in Alice Springs, Australia, Pine Gap. She comes home for good on Christmas Eve. So for almost 2 years, I've been here in the house and watching properties by myself. So it's kind of like a bachelor pad. So guess who's cleaning a house this weekend and making things look just right?
Well,
yes.
Y'all give her some time. Enjoy, man. Enjoy.
I got to be good. So, I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, Cash, CT, thank you, man. Thank you.
Right on, guys.
You educate this guy. I mean, Lisa knows what the hell you were talking about. I didn't, but anyway.
I love this, man.
Well, we'll talk again. Happy holidays, man, and enjoy your wife.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
All right, brother. Take care. Well, that was sweet.
Oh, I think
you knew all the terminology for. I didn't. I'm like, what? Okay, you explained it. I'm like, it's pretty cool. I'm like, I don't know what that shit is.
Yeah, it's it gets in your system. there are times that, I mean, I don't do anywhere. I mean, I just don't do that anymore. And we
Right.
do hard hikes, but not like that. But even with the hard hikes that I do, there are times where I'm like, and why did I decide this was fun? Like, Wayne will tell you that there's been a few times where it's not really that scary, but it's scary to me. I'm terrified of heights. I'm terrified of heights, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
challenge myself,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, I'm not going to give up and get old before I have to. Like, there's no appeal to me. We haven't turned our television on in over 3 weeks.
Ouch. Well,
So,
cool. Well, anyway, that was fun, guys. Monday, we're gonna do something special. We're actually gonna go in detail what STS 30 is, because we could probably have a lot of single guests on that show on this show, and actually we're gonna do an STS us, and and again we'll explain it more on Monday. So it's gonna be around 7 o'clock, and then our last show for the year will be my daughters Riley and Maya, and so that will be I think on the Monday the 30th, I think of December. But anyway, guys, we're getting close to 2 years, Lisa. 2 years.
I can't believe that.
It doesn't seem like we've been doing this, and I mean, I really
Seems
love it.
like just yesterday I got the phone call from you with, "Hey, I've got an idea," and I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, I'm in."
Oh, and we may also maybe let you guys know what STS means. So
I think, well, since somebody's already guessed it, I think we should.
oh yeah. So anyway, all right, guys. Good night, peace and love, and hey, go Knuckle, man. Well, this is Go Knuckle show. We don't do Go Knuckle. All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Good night.
Good night.
Oh.